Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing so well. I am embarking on quite the journey today. I am going to be attempting to make sourdough this weekend. I actually found a recipe that takes it's a 3-day process. But last night we took our sourdough starter, put it in another bowl and added in like 135 grams of water and 135 grams of flour. And one thing that I've already done, I feel like I've already potentially messed it up because I've been using whole wheat flour. I have not been using bread flour or all-purpose flour, so I don't know if that's gonna mess it up or not. We'll find out, to be completely honest. But here is my levain. So last night when I started, we marked it, as you guys saw in that video, we marked it to be right here. And overnight, it has already totally exploded over over doubled. So it's looking really good. So what we're gonna do now is add this to a bowl and continue to let it rise and add in more flour and water. So we'll go ahead and start working on that right now. And like I said, this is like a very labor intensive process since it's a 3-day recipe. So yesterday was like with the prepping with the levain, it was super easy to do. It took me maybe 5-10 minutes. Today will be the most intensive day with like a lot of stretching and folding over the whole day. And then tomorrow will be the actual baking day. So that's why it takes 3 days. You don't have to be home all day, 3 days. Today is Friday. I'm just working from home today, so that's why I felt comfortable being able to start yesterday, do the bulk of this today, and then we'll cook it on Saturday morning. Okay, so I've already added in my warm water. I just used water from my sink. I think that will be fine. And I had 500 grams of that. And then I have my recipe just right here on my computer. So I have that on the scale. We have 500 grams. So I'm gonna zero it out again, so that way I can be accurate with all of my measurements. And then she requires all of your levain, which is this, to go in, and that it should float. So let's hopefully test this and hopefully it will float. Look, it looks so good. It's so healthy. Zero that out again. And now we're gonna add 900 grams of bread flour. Again, I'm just using whole wheat flour, and I hope I have 900 grams. I think I do, I measured it before and I had over 1,000, so we should be a-okay. But let's start adding that in. We're so close. I'm so close. There we go, 900. Okay, and now what you want to do is go ahead and mix it all together so there's no dry bits. And then you're gonna sit and let it rise for a little while. So I'm going to use my hands. Let me wash them real quick. And I'm gonna roll up my sleeves because I don't want to get anything dirty. And I'm just gonna use my hands and start just kind of mixing everything together. Oh, quite an interesting feeling. Okay. It's feeling a lot better. I'm not really feeling any super big dry bits. So I'm gonna actually put it in a different bowl. Okay, so we're gonna put it in here. It has been about an hour now since we last worked with our dough, and it's time to start with our first of 4 stretch and fold techniques. This is what our dough is looking like. It's looking good. It did rise a little bit, but the stretching and folding process is really a good time for you to kind of just like let the air in and kind of let it expand a little bit before we let it sit for about 5 to 10 hours for the bulk fermentation phase. So we're gonna start with our first set of stretch and folding, and then we'll let 30 minutes go in between each time. So we'll take about 2 hours to get this completely done, which is where I think the longest amount of time for this process is going to be happening is right here. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is just kind of taking a bit of it and just stretching and folding it over. And we're just going to kind of do this until every bit of it has been completely just kind of stretched and folded, I guess. And we'll just cover it back up with the damp towel and we'll let it sit for another 30 minutes. Okay, it's been half an hour. It's time to do our second stretch and fold with our dough. So we'll go ahead and get started on that now. time for round 3. Okay, it's time for our last stretch and fold, and then we'll let this sit for 5 to 10 hours. It's noon right now, and I'm actually going out tonight. Today's Friday, so I won't get back until later, so we'll kind of err more towards the 10 hours, but let's go ahead and do our last stretch and fold, and then we'll see how much it rises from there. Okay, you guys, it is 10:43 p.m. It is late, but we are now, it's been about almost 9 hours since we have put this away for the bulk fermentation. So I'm gonna go ahead and start to shape the dough now. Now I will say that this is actually a recipe that's gonna make 2 loaves. So I feel like I should have kind of clarified that at the beginning. And I also did not know that I was gonna make 2 loaves until like 2 days ago. So I didn't really have time to find another recipe, but it's grown quite a lot. And so we're gonna now shape the dough into 2 different loaves and get it ready to cook tomorrow. Okay, so I'm gonna dump this out. My countertop is pretty grippy and I just kind of washed it. So I'm not gonna worry about putting dough on it or flour on it right now, but we are gonna work on getting this thing out. Which, it's looking good actually. It smells really good too. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. Okay, so I'm gonna take it and kind of just split it down the middle here. I don't have a dough knife, so I'm using just like a spatula. But we will start with shaping. We'll do the same thing with this one. Okay, so we have one. This isn't exactly super great, but we'll do another final stretch in about 15 minutes. So we have one that's a little bit more like an oblong shape, and then we have a circular one because this one's gonna go in a freaking basket like that. So I need it to kind of fit that way. This one will just go in a regular bowl, but we'll give it about 15 minutes and then we'll do a final shape, and then we'll let it sit in the fridge overnight before we bake it tomorrow. Okay, you guys, today's baking day, which is a big day. I'm really excited. Hopefully it all turns out well. I'm really nervous for whatever reason, but everything was cold proofed in the fridge overnight. I took them out so we can get ready to score them. But first I preheated my oven to 500 degrees and I put my Dutch oven in there. That's a step that they tell you to do, so that way your Dutch oven can warm up as well. We'll end up lowering the temperature before we bake everything. But now while we wait, we're gonna go ahead and start scoring the bread, which is where we make the designs on it. Okay, you guys, they turned out looking so cute. I love the flowered look on this one. And this one I did kind of cut a little bit deeper so my cuts got bigger, which I liked. This one, I didn't really go too deep. So I think it looks cute. We have to let them sit now for a little while to cool off, and then we can dig in and try them in a little bit. I have let them rest now for a little while, and I think they look so good. This one is so cute. I can't get over this. I'm so happy about that. I think my scoring is what this is called, like making the little shapes. Definitely has some work to do, but this was, again, my first time. So anyway, I'm gonna cut open this one and we'll taste test it real quick and see if it's even any good. That'd be hilarious if it wasn't even cooked all the way through. Okay. Wow, oh my gosh, that looks so good. And it smells nice. It smells like, it definitely smells like whole wheat bread and sourdough. Wouldn't necessarily recommend doing it this way your first time if you're like following recipes, since people aren't really cooking whole wheat sourdough, but it smells nice. Let me cut off a slice here. All right, here is our first little taste test. Okay. I do get the sourdough taste from it a little bit, like the soury taste that comes with sourdough bread. But I'm not loving the whole wheat, I'll be completely honest with you. It just feels a little dense, not a ton of flavor. But it was my first time making it, so I'm glad that I've at least done it once now. I have learned from my mistakes and I will be moving on from them. Very pretty though. I mean, they make very pretty loaves, which is nice. But yeah, am I gonna be eating this every day? Probably not. However, I think with like some jam or butter or something, honestly, it would taste fine. But yeah, I would just say not to do whole wheat. Don't use whole wheat flour, use regular flour. I think that would make it taste a lot better, but very cute, very beautiful. Love these loaves. They're just a lot of fun. So happy with how they turned out overall. I'm happy that I did this experience and that I've at least started my sourdough journey. My first loaf obviously was not going to be the best. So we'll just continue to grow and learn from here and keep trying. Anyway, if you've made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys all in my next one very soon. Bye.